Video 6 in a 7-part series on Deepak Chopra's book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And today, we're diving into Chapter 6, The Law of Detachment. When most people hear the word detachment, they imagine indifference, coldness, or a lack of care. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The law of detachment is about freedom, about peace, and about unlocking the door to abundance. For those of us over 40 who have already carried the weight of responsibilities, careers, families, and sometimes the heavy baggage of financial struggles, this law can become one of the most powerful tools to transform the way we relate to money, prosperity, and life itself. Let's be honest. When you're younger, you often believe success comes from controlling every detail, planning every step, holding on tightly to expectations, and working harder and harder until something finally breaks through. But with maturity, you realize that life rarely follows your exact plans. No matter how hard you try to control the outcome, reality finds its own way. That's where the law of detachment comes in. It teaches us that letting go is not giving up. It's allowing space for infinite possibilities to work in our favor. Think about your own financial journey. How many times have you said to yourself, when I finally pay off all my debts, then I'll feel secure. When I earn X amount, then I'll be happy. When I retire with this much money, then I can live the life I really want. These are natural thoughts, but they chain your sense of peace to a future condition. And when that future doesn't come as quickly as you'd like, or it looks different than you imagined, you feel stuck, frustrated, and hopeless. Detachment breaks that cycle. It invites you to shift your focus from clinging to outcomes to embracing the uncertainty of life as fertile ground for creation. It means you still have intentions, you still have goals, you still plant seeds, but you don't strangle the seed by digging it up every day to see if it's growing. You allow life to surprise you with how those seeds take root and blossom. Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine a farmer who plants crops. He prepares the soil, waters the seeds, and makes sure there is sunlight. But after that, he doesn't scream at the soil demanding results by tomorrow. He doesn't dig up the seeds out of fear that nothing is happening. He trusts the process. That's the wisdom of detachment, trust in action. For those of us over 40, this truth is even more relevant. Why? Because by now, you've experienced that life never goes exactly as planned. You've probably worked hard, faced setbacks, maybe lost money, maybe rebuilt yourself more than once. And through it all, you've learned that clinging desperately to how things must be often leads to pain. The law of detachment says, release the obsession with outcomes, and suddenly, doors you never even imagined begin to open. Now let's bring this directly to the realm of finances. Many people think financial security equals safety. They believe, if I just have enough in my account, I'll never worry again. But in reality, the pursuit of absolute security often creates insecurity. Think of wealthy people who still fear losing it all. Think of individuals who obsessively check their bank accounts every day, never at peace even when the numbers look fine. Detachment says, security is an illusion when it depends only on external conditions. True security comes from trusting your inner self, your creativity, and your ability to adapt. When you let go of attachment, you're not saying, I don't care about money. You're saying, I care enough to create, but I don't need to strangle the process. You stop forcing life to follow your exact script. Instead, you align with possibilities far bigger than your imagination. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in your late 40s or early 50s and you've just lost your job. If you are attached to the idea that your prosperity can only come from that job or from one single career path, you will suffer deeply. But if you practice detachment, you allow yourself to say, this ending may be a beginning I cannot yet see. You release the need to know every detail of how your future will unfold. And in that openness, opportunities often appear, maybe a business idea, a partnership, or even a skill you've been ignoring for decades suddenly becomes your new source of prosperity. That's the essence of detachment. Certainty is actually limitation, but uncertainty is infinite potential. The law of detachment also invites us to reframe how we think about problems. Instead of obsessing over obstacles, detachment teaches us that every problem carries within it the seed of opportunity. Have you noticed that some of the hardest financial challenges of your life taught you lessons that eventually helped you grow stronger? Perhaps a failed business taught you the discipline you needed to succeed in the next one. Perhaps a financial loss forced you to learn about money management in a way you had ignored before. When you detach, you stop labeling events as simply good or bad. You start asking, what opportunity might be hidden here? And that simple shift in perspective is transformative. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you step into the role of co-creator of your destiny. Detachment allows you to remain calm in uncertainty, and calmness is power. It's the calm investor who makes wise decisions when markets fluctuate. It's the calm entrepreneur who finds solutions when others panic. It's the calm parent who teaches children resilience by example. Now, let's add another layer. Detachment doesn't mean you give up intentions. You still set goals. You still declare your desires clearly. You still take action. But once you've done your part, you release the outcome. You stop trying to control how and when things must happen. You let go of the tight grip and trust that the universe, God, life, infinite intelligence, will arrange the details better than you could have planned. Picture this. You want to improve your finances after 40. You set an intention. I will create multiple streams of income. That's your seed. You then take aligned actions, learning, networking, maybe starting a side business. But you also release the demand that it must happen in exactly 6 months, through exactly one source, in exactly the way you pictured. Detachment says, I release the form, but I hold the intention. And often, prosperity comes in ways that shock you. Let's make this even more practical. The law of detachment can be applied daily through 3 practices. First, accept the present moment. Detachment begins with embracing what is. If you are constantly fighting against reality, resenting the job you have, resenting the bills you must pay, you waste energy. Instead, accept where you are, then direct your intention toward change without resistance. Second, live with uncertainty. Instead of fearing it, see it as the playground of creation. Remember, the unknown is the place where miracles are born. When you were young, you probably craved certainty. But as you grow wiser, you realize that every exciting chapter of your life began in uncertainty. Third, see opportunities in problems. When life throws challenges, remind yourself, inside this obstacle lies the seed of something greater. Detachment allows you to discover it without panic. So, what does all of this mean for those seeking prosperity after 40? It means you don't need to have every step figured out. You don't need to control every detail of the journey. Instead, you need to cultivate clarity of intention, combined with the willingness to release attachment to results. You need to be open to the unknown, because the unknown is where new financial paths will be revealed. As we close today's message, remember, detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means freedom. It means you are no longer enslaved by fear of loss or obsession with gain. It means you trust the infinite intelligence of life to unfold in ways that support your highest good. And when you live this way, prosperity stops being a desperate chase and becomes a natural flow. So let me ask you, what would change in your life if you stopped clinging to security and instead trusted the unknown? What doors might open if you released the need to control and allowed possibilities to emerge? The law of detachment is not about losing. It's about gaining access to a life far richer, freer, and more prosperous than the one you're holding on to too tightly. If you embrace this law, especially in the second half of life, you'll discover that abundance is not about how much you cling to, but about how much you can trust. And now, here's my final invitation for you. If this video made sense to you, give it a like, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe with the bell on so you won't miss a thing. And if you want to take the next step to transform your financial mindset, check out the link in the first comment below.